Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. If you've ever felt like the traditional approach to treating depression is just, well, a bit one-dimensional, you are absolutely not alone. Today, we're unpacking some truly fascinating, grounded research that completely redefines how we approach mental health. We're moving away from that old singular focus, and instead, we're going to build what I like to call a multifaceted mental health toolkit. Okay, let's dive into this.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going from high-level federal policy shifts all the way down to highly actionable daily morning routines. We'll hit the mental health paradigm shift, decoding thoughts and relationships, breaking the inactivity trap, building a flexible routine, and finally, boosting treatment with nutrition. Let's get right to it.
All right, Section 1, the mental health paradigm shift. We're looking at a massive, formal shift at the very highest levels of U.S. healthcare toward holistic, non-pharmacological care.
Take a look at this. This is a direct quote from a May 2026 joint letter from the Department of Health and Human Services. It states plainly, medication should not be understood as the only treatment option. Evidence supports the use of psychotherapy and other non-pharmacological interventions. Basically, relying solely on a pill to solve complex mental health struggles, that's increasingly being seen as a totally outdated mindset according to the absolute latest federal guidance.
And the institutional weight backing this up is just undeniable, with the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services and SAMHSA right behind it. This push for a holistic approach isn't some fringe wellness movement. It's a direct mandate from top federal health agencies who are looking at the evidence and adjusting their policies to match.
Now, a huge part of this new paradigm includes a concept called deprescribing. As you'll see here, it's a deliberate, individualized clinical process of safely reducing or stopping medications when goals are met, or if side effects are just creating an unnecessary burden. The absolutely crucial point to take away here, this is not about abruptly quitting your medication cold turkey, which, by the way, can be super dangerous. Instead, it's a really careful, collaborative process with your doctor to make sure your treatment evolves exactly as you do.
Moving right along to Section 2, Decoding Thoughts and Relationships. Let's transition from that federal policy level into the psychological tier of our toolkit and see how we can actually rewire our minds. So here we have the cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT triangle. It elegantly maps out how our thoughts, our behavior, and our physical symptoms are all perfectly interlinked. We've all been there, right? You have a negative thought, maybe something like, I'm a failure, and that makes you want to just withdraw and hide in your room, which then leaves you feeling physically lethargic and totally drained. It's a vicious cycle. But the real beauty of this model is that by changing just one single corner of the triangle, you can disrupt that entire cycle of depression. It's like a giant puzzle where moving one piece changes the whole picture. Now, CBT isn't the only tool we have. Let's contrast it with interpersonal psychotherapy, or IPT. While CBT looks inward to fix those negative internal thought loops, IPT actually looks outward. It operates on this incredibly relatable premise that your mood is drastically impacted by other people. It focuses entirely on repairing relationships, managing major life transitions, processing grief, and resolving disputes. So, when you put them together, these therapies offer a complete 360-degree approach, fixing both how you relate to yourself and how you relate to the world around you.
All right, Section 3. Breaking the inactivity trap. Now we're moving into the behavioral tier, directly addressing how we break the cycle when depression just drains all our motivation to act.
To break that cycle, we really have to understand the paradox of depression, which is the inactivity trap. This happens when we just wait around for motivation to strike so we can act. But because doing less naturally reduces the rewarding experiences in our lives, our mood just drops even further. So waiting to feel motivated practically guarantees you're going to stay stuck. The tough but absolutely vital truth here: action actually has to precede motivation.
So, how do we break out? Psychologists use something called behavioral activation. Let's walk through the exact steps. First, you monitor your activity and your mood for a week, just to see the patterns. Second, you identify your core values, like what actually matters to you deep down. And third, you schedule simple activation. You are literally forcing action by scheduling low-difficulty tasks. Maybe it's taking a bath or meeting a friend for coffee. These small actions kickstart a virtuous cycle of pleasure and mastery, jump-starting your brain's reward system, even if you literally didn't feel like doing the task to begin with.
Let's jump to Section 4, Building a Flexible Routine.
We're going to look at a morning routine that actually adapts to your fluctuating energy levels, rather than some rigid system that just invites failure.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how this three-tier system completely reframes the entire concept of a morning routine. Instead of having one strict checklist, you evaluate your energy when you wake up. If you're in crisis mode and literally cannot get out of bed, your only required actions are to drink water, maybe take meds or eat a cracker, and do one anchor activity like listening to a favorite song. That's it. You win the morning. On struggling days, with a little more energy, you do those crisis tasks, plus basic hygiene and 5 minutes of movement. And on better days, managing days, you add growth activities like a full shower or a walk. It completely eliminates shame because it perfectly matches your tasks to your daily capacity.
But, what about those moments when even crisis mode just feels totally impossible? Enter the can't get out of bed protocol. When that physical paralysis of depression really hits, try the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown method. You just count backward, and on 1, you sit up, like ripping off a bandage, which helps bypass that overthinking brain of ours. Or, if that's still too aggressive, just negotiate with your body using progressive body scans. Wiggle your toes, then your ankles. Your one and only goal is to simply sit up. You don't have to leave the bedroom, you just have to sit up. It's a highly empathetic, micro-step approach to taking back a little bit of control when things feel really dark.
And that brings us to Section 5, Boosting Treatment with Nutrition. For this final section, we're focusing on how specific biological and nutritional boosters can actually amplify the therapies and routines we've just covered.
So, a massive review of clinical trials by the University of Melbourne and Harvard Medical School looked exactly at which supplements actually work synergistically to boost the effects of antidepressants. The proven boosters? Omega-3 fish oil, specifically high in EPA, along with vitamin D, methylfolate, and the amino acid SAM. These can actively alter mood-regulating neurotransmitters in your brain. On the flip side, things like zinc, vitamin C, folic acid, and inositol, they showed pretty mixed or poor results in this specific context. Basically, if you're looking to supplement, the science points very clearly toward omega-3s and vitamin D as being your absolutely strongest allies.
Well, that brings us to the end of our explainer today. We've gone from massive federal shifts toward holistic care, decoded CBT and IPT therapies, learned how to force action before motivation, established a totally shame-free morning routine, and identified proven nutrients to boost recovery. The toolkit is sitting right there in front of you, wide open. So I'll leave you with this one question. Which single tool will you use tomorrow morning to break the cycle? Thanks so much for learning with us today.